Hello and welcome to Sports by Compian NFL Preseason Edition. And here we are with Taylor Seitz, friend of the show, avid Packers fan, long-time supporter. He even would invest in the team, but that's a little bit much, and he kind of just prefers to let the ownership handle things because they're good at it, right, Taylor?
Oh yeah, the best.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the show, Taylor. We appreciate you coming around again to talk to us about these Packers, about football in general. It's here. It's upon us. Preseason's already in the works.
Yeah, already in the works. It's crazy. It felt early. It started in August this year. Got a couple games. I don't know. Is there one tonight?
Probably. There's
Yeah,
probably going to be games tonight. Thursday.
Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So,
Well, today's
super.
Wednesday, right?
Oh, it's Wednesday. Yep, I'm a day ahead. So
We're
there you
day
go.
ahead. So tomorrow, and honestly, by the time of the release of this show, it could be that night, could be the next full week. Who knows?
There
For
we go.
Champion fans, it's all very exciting stuff. But we appreciate you joining us as Taylor's going to break down his beloved Packers for us. Tell us what he thinks is going to happen with them this year. And yeah, it's exciting times. People get after it. This is the best time to do this type of shows because earlier in the year when we were doing this with some of our other friends who came on to talk about their teams, they didn't quite have depth charts. And there's nothing quite like looking at the depth chart and being like, all right, what do we think? What are these guys going to do?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the first thing as a Packers fan right now, the one thing we don't want them to do is keep getting hurt. And I think
Yeah.
it's a plague across the NFL in general right now, not
Yeah.
just from preseason, but I mean you see us all OTAs, everything. I mean, people are just getting banged up
What
left
is
and
going
right.
on?
A lot of soft tissue issues across the knock on wood. I hate to even bring up the word, but a lot of ACLs, knee injuries have been going left and right. So, I think it's as players are progressing, getting more explosive faster. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. There's a lot of people want to argue the turf thing, but from my experience on the Packers side of things here, we don't even play on turf in Green Bay, so there's already issues there. Our wide receiver core is already taken a hit this year. We got, everybody's really excited for what most would say is Packers wide receiver one, Jared Reed. He's been seen in a walking boot the last week. He's been doing light practice stuff like there. Does think he should be back for week one, but you never know. Sometimes those ankle injuries can be very nagging, and definitely when a player is explosive, shifty, and fast, you need your ankles healthy. So that's an issue right there. And then Romeo Dobbs earlier this week went up for a beautiful pass, caught it, fell down, landed on his back. Funny, he did hit his head. He's had concussion issues in the past. Luckily, it was not a concussion issue. It was a lower back issue. So hopefully he's recovering. So, I mean, the Packers wide receiver room has definitely taken a hit. Luckily, we did draft our first round pick, Matthew Golden, pick number 23. The man's a stud. Out of Texas, had the fastest time for the 40 at the combine. I think what really stood out to for him for the Green Bay Packers was he's notoriously extremely sure-handed, and he did highlight some of that in his first preseason game, even though he was at limited stats along with the most of the majority of the offensive one. Um, but yeah, super excited for Matthew Golden. I think he's going to be a really good impact player. Jordan Love has been raving about him as well as other people on the team. So really excited to see what he does in the future here. Another really exciting one of our picks, our third round pick, he was drafted at pick 87. You have Savon Williams, I believe out of TCU. The guy is kind of a unicorn. He is 6'3", has a lot of runs. Some people have comped him to Cordell Patterson, but he can catch the football. So very explosive. I expect to see him. Matt LaFleur loves to do the jet sweeps, so I imagine we're going to see some of those with him, but very curious to see how he develops. The other questions when it comes to the offense, of course, there's no question when it comes to Jacobs. He's going to be one of the best running backs again this year. I think he's going to break 1,000 yards. He was very close last year. I don't believe he quite got over that hump. But it took him about 5 weeks to really get in the swing of things of the new offense coming over from Oakland. And after that, he ended up ending the season on fantasy value as fantasy running back number 5. So hopefully he comes out booming this year. We really want to see him get those touchdowns because he's a monster. He had just as well of a season as he did 2 years ago, one of his breakout seasons for Oakland, but he did about the same amount of stuff with touchdowns and yardage with 60 less carries. So that's huge. So he is being productive. Packers do have a great offensive line. I am curious to see how that develops this year. We drafted Jordan Morgan, who really didn't get to play a lot last year. He has not looked that great and practice. He has not looked that great in our first preseason game.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, I'm a little worried. He was supposed to be a tackle. I think if they slide him into guard, he'll have a little more success. So definitely, Green Bay has never had an issue with an offensive line. They're really good at moving those people around. They like players with versatility. So I think we will see them kind of move the ball well.
But
The
what do
only
we
other, go
obviously we
ahead.
gotta ask the main question here. What do we think about Jordan Love? I mean, the
Yeah.
NFL's a little down on him. A lot of the media is down on him. I don't think he had a terrible year. It was maybe a disappointing next in the playoffs, but I mean, it was to the eventual Super Bowl champions. Do you feel like he's being disparaged too much? Are
I
you
think
a little worried?
I am not. I like Jordan Love. I like a non-drama quarterback, which is something Green Bay hasn't had in years.
True.
The man knows how to throw the ball. He has a rocket. Sometimes, you look at he did throw quite a few interceptions last year, but if you took those interceptions and you look at how many of them were off of wide receivers' hands or a wide receiver running a wrong route. That was the majority of them. Yes, he had a little Brett Favre gunslinger in him, and he got caught up with that. But if you're making an aggressive play, interceptions are going to happen in the game.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing we need. That's been the issue. I think the story for the Packers wide receiver core the last 2 years is just their hands. I think that's
Yeah.
why Matthew Golden stood out so much to him in the draft this year. And then, once we get Leonard Floyd back, if we ever see him make it to the field, he missed all last year with growing injuries and stuff. He was a third-round pick coming out of USC the year prior. Some thought he was the best running back in the draft. Really like to see that young guy get out there and get an opportunity for a lot of third down back type stuff because he does have the hands. He is shifty. Would be a great compliment to Jacobs. But right now, I think he's listed on the depth chart as the third running back. And they did just sign an old running back. I actually don't even remember the guy's name yesterday. So I hopefully we don't see him out for too long so we can take some of that pressure off of Josh Jacobs.
And maybe I missed it, but is Watson out for the year? Or
Watson is actually he did suffer a torn ACL right before playoffs of last year. He is ahead of schedule. He's been seen running and cutting in practice. He will start the year on the pup list. A
okay.
lot of people are thinking October to late early November. We're going to see his return, which will be great. It's coming back from
Yeah.
an ACL tear, not easy. I've done it.
No.
I'm also not a professional athlete.
Right.
So,
You
but
know
like I
what?
know there are struggles when it comes to things like that. So hopefully, things will shift well. A lot of people right now have been talking about Jordan Love. He had surgery today or yesterday, excuse me. He did tear a ligament in his left thumb playing in the preseason game. That's why he was limited to the stats he was. Um, Silver lining on that, it's a super quick turnaround. He might even still be able to play in some of the preseason. He will return to practice this week, and it's his left hand, not his throwing hand. But I'd
All
like
good
to see
news.
him stay healthy for a season.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
It's been a thing, but yeah, getting back to what you were saying originally, everyone is going down with injuries right now in the preseason. Maybe it is something to do with the strength programs now. Are these guys just moving faster than they ever have? Is it these fast cuts that are just that's what's leading to so much soft tissue tears and everything like that? Like, it seems interesting that like just saying, okay, the way they're moving is so fast and the cuts are so fast now that that's what's causing it, or is it the hits that are causing this?
Yeah, I think that's one thing you got to worry about too. I think it's a combination of both. Like for instance, the Marshawn Lloyd thing I was talking about, he started off very healthy. We picked up in free agency Nate Hobbs coming over from Oakland. And Nate Hobbs is kind of he's a grinder. He's a big hitting cornerback. He loves to hit. He's
Yeah,
fast. He's explosive, and he doesn't really care who you were. And that's kind of where the injury stemmed from. Was he hit Lloyd pretty hard, and then Lloyd got up, and I don't know if that tweaked something, and then they say he had a soft tissue issue right after that. So kind of the combination of, hey, don't hit your players hard in practice, but you also want people to be
Yeah.
explosive. So I think you get that mentality that you have all the power in the world when you got pads on in football, and I think that's where you're seeing a lot of these injuries happen because you don't see them nearly as much in a sport like rugby.
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, but there is some injuries, but
There
like
is
also
some.
at the same time, you don't see as many like star players going down with it too. Like, and if they are, they're back fast. Those guys, they're
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like none of like the country champions that like go do it for a long time. Like all the time watching rugby, I haven't seen Finn Russell have a nasty tear yet. I haven't seen any of the Barrett brothers have these nasty injuries. Like it's just strange.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So we'll have to see what goes on with
Because I've
that.
seen an uptick. I feel like it's been an uptick the last couple of years
Oh, for
of
sure.
like star players going down with nasty injuries.
I think that is what it is too. Maybe it's the play through it mentality.
Yeah,
For some players that they tweak it and they should just rest, but they get back out there and then they hurt it severe. But there's a lot of things to look into on why I don't know if there's really a
because like
specific
modern
rhyme or
medicine's better
reason.
than ever. So it's like, dude, what are we not doing? Why aren't you doing they? And they are probably all doing the rehab, all the extra overwork and stuff to make sure these things don't happen. And it's still happening more than ever. It's kind of like that's weird. It's
Yeah,
injuries, which is sad.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's have a look at this defense. Was a strength of the Packers last year, right? It usually always is a decent strength-ish, except for
Yeah,
the secondary.
well, so yeah, it was it's a tale of two halves. Big theme last year with the Packers. They had an issue getting to the quarterback. Kenny Clark up front wasn't as effective. He is getting a little older, but still a great player. Uh, really didn't clog up the middle. It took players to develop. We drafted Luke Van Ness 3 years ago. He hasn't really come to his prime yet, his point where he's really making an effect. He's had a really good camp, so really looking forward to seeing Luke Van Ness. So a lot of times our big name in the pass rushing game is Rashad Gary. Um, Always leads the league in quarterback pressures, but never quite get that sack mark. That whether that is because he's being double teamed because they don't really have an effective person on the other side. So the defensive line was less than great last year.
Go ahead. That's just
Um,
Daniel.
yeah. and then when it comes to the secondary, yeah, we did have injuries. We had Jair Alexander only played for a couple games last year. Keyshawn Nixon thinks he's a quarterback number one. That's still up in the air if that's true or not. That shows flashes. The silver lining was we have the best safety core in the NFL. We have McKinney back there. We picked him up in free agency. He had 6 interceptions, I think, or more last year. And then we drafted a kid out of Georgia, Bullard, who played really good. I think you'll see him playing the slot more. And then Williams, who played phenomenal alongside McKinney. Really excited to see them going on. So safety core in Green Bay is probably their best attribute. And then the other person who really stood up was, I believe, our second round pick, Edrin Cooper, last year, coming out of Texas A&M. Absolute monster in the middle, one of the best, if not the best linebacker. Of course, I'm going to say that because I'm biased in the NFL, but just he's fast. He knows the plays. He is just all over the place. So I'm super excited to see what he does this year. Wyatt and the defensive line, we'll see what he does. Quay Walker, he's shown flashes. I think this year you're going to see him more as a rushing linebacker, which is what he's good at. Always kind of lacked in coverage, but when it came to blitzing the quarterback and running the line, he's phenomenal at it. He's lightning fast. And then we did pick up Justin Simmons in the offseason, also coming over from New York, which, 3-4 years ago, I want to say, maybe even a couple more, he was drafted, top 10 overall by Arizona, and just as an athletic freak, but never really was able to reach his potential. So I think pushing all three of them together for an extremely fast linebacker core. And then we do have like a nice utility linebacker in there with McDuffie. He doesn't do anything flashy, but he does a lot of good things right. So I think the linebacker core and the safety core are really going to pull this team, and hopefully we see those people kind of step up on the defensive edge to really get through things this year. Also, our fourth round pick out of Texas, best friends with Matthew Golden, Swirls. He's wearing 99. He was phenomenal at Texas. A lot of people were shocked that he dropped as far as he did in the draft. So hopefully he can kind of bring some defensive line and edge rushing to that offense. And we're only going into Halfley's second year at defensive coordinator. So now that people are trying to understand his kind of scheme, his aggressive system, hopefully that kind of progresses a lot more on the field and we see good things.
Love that, man. It sounds like a lot of drafted players. Time for these guys to step up and do what they're drafted to do, right?
Yep, they're still the youngest team in football. So,
there you go. Also, I see you guys, Isaiah Simmons over there, good old utility guy that everyone's still counting on to have that big day. Maybe he'll finally develop there with the Packers.
Hopefully.
Let's briefly talk about your guys' schedule coming up. I'm not gonna. We won't go through the whole thing, but I'm assuming you're predicting playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, so I listen to the Fantasy Footballers. They're a wonderful fantasy football podcast. I really enjoy the guys over there. I love their takes on things. They're very honest. They're very analytic. And listening to them, like truly, I'm always going to think that we're going to win the division and make it to the playoffs because I'm a Packers fan. Two of the four of them see them winning the division. All four of them see them making the playoffs. Last year, the NFC North was one of the best divisions in football, but the Packers are favored in their first 8 games of the season. So hopefully they can run with that and really start off strong. If you want to break them down, I mean, the Lions are going to be interesting this year. They
is
have
that at home? Yeah, it is in Lambeau. So Lambeau at home, that makes sense.
And when you're favored at home, that could be like a 1 point spread, 2 point spreads. Curious to see what the Lions do this year. Dan Campbell's an absolute monster, but they did lose their offensive coordinator to the Jets as the head coach. And then, of course, Ben Johnson is now in Chicago. He is part of the Bears. So, curious to see. Sometimes you see when offensive coordinators leave, you see declines. Same with defensive coordinators, but other times, it's always the next man up mentality in the NFL. So that'll be really interesting. They have a great team, one of the best, if not the best, offensive line, an amazing double-headed dragon at their run game. Jared Goff is a dog. You have St. Brown's awesome. Williams, I think, is somebody who's going to really take a step up in that offense this year. So it'll be interesting to see there. Their defense is phenomenal too. Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, come on. I hate when I see major players get hurt, especially from a rival team.
Yeah, that does suck.
But I hope he comes back absolute stud. So it'll be a really good game. Definitely not a pushover team. Week 2, when we're talking about Washington, I mean, nobody knew what Washington was going to do last year, and then Washington was an awesome
I'm a little annoyed at all these preseason rankings that have Daniels up there as an elite quarterback already. I'm like, he had one playoff run. Let's see him do it consistently.
He did it consistently all year in football last year. I like Jane Daniels a lot. I'm curious to see what happens with the receiving core. Are they going to get Scary Terry back? Are they going to let him walk? Otherwise, you're just rocking with Deebo Samuels, who's really after his prime. They do have a great running game. Austin Eckler still has a lot in the gas there. Brian Robinson, so they're going to do good. Questions on their defensive line, but otherwise their defense is pretty solid. I mean, Washington's a good team. We did beat them. I don't know if we beat them last year. I think we did pull off the win versus them last year, but it was in Washington. So I'd be curious to see how that game plays off. But
then you got Cleveland, who's a hot mess. Not much more than
not much. I mean,
Dallas Cowboys also kind of a hot mess. Also kind of a hot mess. Are they going to pay Michael Parsons? We don't have time to get into it right now. Cincinnati Bengals are scary.
Yeah, Cincinnati. I'm really happy that we're coming out of a bye week. The last few seasons we have a really late bye. It's nice the Packers have an early bye this year. So coming back in, playing the Bengals. The Bengals, you have to beat them by beating their defense. Even in preseason, people have been talking about their defense is atrocious. Trey Henderson did not do anything to help himself in the preseason game. They looked like garbage. But the thing with the Bengals is your defense needs to stop their offense because on any given Sunday, those boys can go out there and put up 30 points. Just like that. I mean, you have with Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins would be, I think, a wide receiver one on any other team. You know what I mean? He's a stud too. So really good receiving core, amazing offense over in Cincinnati. So if you can stop their offense, and you will smoke their defense. So that one will be interesting. Cardinals, it all depends on how Kyler Murray plays. If Kyler can kind of get out of his head and kind of, his first season when before he got hit a bunch, he was running with the football. Guy was phenomenal. I mean, you have Trey McBride, who might be the best tight end now in the NFL. Really young guy, very good. He's up there,
He
at
is
least
very
top
good.
three.
He is
Um,
definitely good.
fantasy tight end, pretty much across the board, number one right now. So, but they're kind of a middle of the pack team. The Steelers, that's the game I'm looking forward to. Aaron Rodgers playing, hopefully he makes it, stays healthy. That'll be a good game. Mike Tomlin's great. DK Metcalf being over there. Questions on their run game. They have all of the tight
They
ends
might
in the
be
world.
sneaky good. They might be sneaky good. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean Arthur
But
Smith loves his tight ends, so we'll see.
it's
We'll
the
see
it's
what
the old
happens.
boys over there. It's definitely the old boys all hanging out over there making a run. So we'll see
Yeah,
if it works out for them.
Carolina's a question mark.
Yeah.
They started to kind of get it together last year, but we'll see what they do this year. And then this is when it starts getting roughy. The
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. Is that game in Philly or is that game in Lambeau?
Lambo. So
Lambeau.
about that.
Well, we got that going for us, so we'll have to see how Philly does. I mean, Saquon
Rematch.
Barkley. I mean, yeah, Saquon Barkley is an absolute monster. We played that. We lost to them twice last year, first game of the season, and then in playoffs. Um, AJ
You're due.
Brown. I
You're
mean,
due then.
yeah, we're due. I would love to say we're due, but the Eagles are going to eagle. They're good.
Yeah.
The Giants are the Giants.
Yeah.
So
It
they're
might be all right against the Giants. Then who knows what we're getting with the Vikings and McCarthy. By
yep.
week 12, we'll have a good idea though.
Yeah, they still don't have much of a secondary, but that defense is great. I really like their head coach. He's doing a lot of good things over there, McDaniel. So,
Isn't
positive.
Kevin
And then
Cobb over there?
I'm sorry,
It's Kevin Cobb over there, right?
Kevin Cobb is their coach.
With the Vikings?
No,
I could have sworn. I thought it was Kevin Cobb. And then you got Detroit again. And then who knows what's going to happen with the Chicago Bears? But once again,
it's
we should know.
Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, okay. I was close.
Yeah, great young coach. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen with the Bears? Keenan Allen came out today. I love trash talking the Bears. Keenan Allen came out today and said the reason he didn't sign back with the Bears, ultimately he wanted to go home to the Chargers, but he said, Caleb Williams was too selfish. It was all about him.
Do you think he really said that?
Yeah, Keenan Allen came out and said that.
That's savage. That's so savage.
So, interesting to see what's going on there. They have a lot of really good, DJ Moore, amazing receiver. Omaduze looks the part. He's got good stuff there too. Tyler Burton looks like he should be pretty sharp. So curious to see how the Bears do. I mean, I think DeAndre Swift and some of their running game is pretty powerful as well. They did revamp that offensive line with a lot of investment this offseason. So I'm curious to see how the Bears do. And of course, they have a great secondary. Jackson is phenomenal as a cornerback. So we'll have to see if they fly, if they don't. But next one after that, Denver. I think Denver's going to be a sneaky good team this year. I really like Denver. They got some really good things going on for them. So that'll be a really tough game. And is that one at Denver?
That one is at Denver. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're playing at Mile High. Mile High is not
That's
easy
tough.
stadium to play at. So that's a whole thing right up there too. Then it's the Bears again.
Then you got the Ravens. Ugly.
Potential Super Bowl favorites right there. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, they're a great team. The coming of that one's in Green Bay. You're going to have Jair Alexander coming home, a lot to prove. So, that's going to be a very, very good game. And then we round out the season with the Vikings. So, a lot of opportunity. I like the Packers' strength of schedule. There are some really tough teams in there.
It's got to be said, besides like the bottom five, you got like the Browns who are a mess. You got who was the other team I was thinking of? You got a couple teams that are kind of still scrounging around and not very good. Like the Patriots might still be in building mode right now. Although who knows? They look decent in preseason, but it's just that from top to bottom, man, the whole NFL is so freaking good.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like there's teams like the Bears, these guys like the Jets, the ones who stay losing because it's tough to they don't make organizational changes. But goddamn, it just seems like everyone's getting so good right now. It's hard to find wins out here in the NFL.
It is.
Been said a million times, but it's just especially now. I feel like with the draft and all these good players coming out now, People are building fast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, Taylor, we appreciate you coming on, breaking down this Packers season ahead. If it all goes according to plan, it'll be another glorious Green Bay Packers season, and the Lambeau fans will love it.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Absolutely. Do you have any parting words, any words of wisdom, anything you need to get off your chest?
No, just excited. For the season, it's gonna be here before we know it. Hopefully we don't see any more major injuries. The NFL's at the best when the best players are playing, and I'm just excited to get into football season. It's right around the
Absolutely.
corner.
It's very close. It's very close. And you know what else is close? The Ravens kickoff is coming.
Yes,
Very next week. That's right. Maybe even the week of when this video comes out. Who knows, Taylor? It's exciting times, though. Football's here. Rugby's here. Fall is here, baby. We love it.
we made it.
Absolutely. Well, Sports by Copy fans, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, all that shenanigans.